It's the end of the day with Ray. Hello, my friends. Well, you can see in the Sharp Interactive board, I got Caleb from MPS Toolbox. I'm so excited to have Caleb on because Caleb's in the generation that can help generation as old as me understand what's really going on in the real world. But MPS Toolbox is providing e-commerce services for the document imaging channel and other technology resellers for like a decade. They have a proven track record. They're doing well at it. And I wanted to bring Caleb on to get an update and just find out where the channel is in their mindset. Because, ladies and gentlemen, the fact that we're even talking about e-commerce to dealers today, talking them into it, I should say, is really mind-boggling to me after 2 years of a global pandemic. Caleb, it's fantastic having you on. And by the way, you're my 750th video. I looked this morning. It's amazing.
Oh, wow. Congrats, Ray. I mean, I think we can all take a lesson on your consistency and proven by your channel growth. So congrats and thanks for having me. I'm glad to share my perspective. I think it's I'm hoping it's unique for the industry and we can build on it.
Well, you know, Caleb, at the end of the day, there's a lot of old folks like me in the industry. We all know that. And the old folks like me aren't paying attention to the younger generation. And when I look at e-commerce as an example, and I look at folks coming into the marketplace with e-commerce platforms, and I've done some satire videos on this, I mean, it's upsetting to me in all reality. But we're seeing our industry do the exact same thing they did with IT services. They got into IT services and they listened to consultants, and I'm just going to call them what they are, nut jobs, telling the document imaging channel crazy fantasy things, and they didn't really care if the industry was successful. They only care if the industry dabbled in it. All the consultants made their money. The dealers were never successful, and we're doing the exact same thing in e-commerce because we're listening to people that tell us what we want to hear instead of listening to people that tell us what we need to hear to make us better. And I know you guys are frustrated, and I usually talk to Norm, but I wanted to come to you today because you're that younger generation. And my question to you is this: if you worked in a dealer's environment today and they did not have an e-commerce platform, would you even be there?
Oh yeah, great question. I think the market's proved that. What have we seen? A massive exit of specifically sales reps in the industry. And I think we like to say, you know, because we've all struggled with it in business, it's the mass resignation. Well, I think you could say that if you still had the talent coming in on the other side, and that's also not happening for a lot of the dealers out there. It's been very hard to retain, but also to hire new sales reps. And so from my perspective, no. I mean, if you're selling technology products and you don't so you're a technology company and you don't understand that people buy online and that's their preference, and you want to qualify them out as opportunities, well, you just, like a young person like me, no matter the industry, would understand you're cutting, 20 to 50% of my opportunity out. No, I don't want to work. I don't want to do that. And I'm going to quickly find out that there's other opportunities out there. I think attracting young talent coincides with understanding your current customer today as well. And I don't think the industry has a good handle on either one of those. I see some companies do, very few of them, and I commend that. But as a broad stroke, yeah, let's go back to your first comment. If we're talking about whether or not you should have e-commerce, man, we're in a bad spot.
I know, and unfortunately, we're still having those conversations. And, but, I think the thing that the dealers everybody should be paying attention to is that the dealers today, especially those medium-sized dealers, those 10, 50, up to 50, $60 million companies, they have thousands of customers. And these thousands of customers are clicking buy now every single day that we waste time by screwing around by not doing this, or think that our e-commerce platform should be about an encyclopedia and a bottle of toner and a DCA tool. It just drives me out of my mind. When customers are buying microphones and headsets and laptops and all kinds of technology products, every single second of the day. And if you're trying to deliver technology services to an end user, you don't give them the capability to buy what they want to buy. How relevant is that? If you're going to a boutique IT shop, maybe like my buddy Milton in Nashville, that's got 80 customers, that's a different concept. It's a different reality. He probably don't need e-commerce. We're talking about dealers that have thousands of customers that are spending money right now without them.
Listen, if I was to summarize, because we do get ourselves into some trouble, if you want to call it that, ruffling feathers. We want to know when we get you on a call, what's your strategy moving forward? What are you going to branch out to? What are you giving your reps to sell? How are you transitioning to be in this digital world, or do you need our help to talk through that? That becomes that comes before the product demo, and it's got to be that. We'll also go to the point of saying if your goal is to double down on print and be print only, we might not be the best fit for you long term, because our strategy in the dealer channel is to try to help the dealers in the best way we can for today, but in the future. And we truly believe, dealers have the biggest opportunity gifted by themselves to themselves, which is in a lot of cases, a big customer base. Mm-hmm. Our sweet spot is exactly how you define those mid-sized dealers. And, e-commerce implemented looks like high customer. We've worked for a long time. We've helped you with print. We can do so much more now. Get on our e-commerce site. You can still interact with us if you have questions. We'll help you choose the right products, but we're going to make it easy for you to acquire those things. So you've got the customers, you've got the distribution access to all the products. You have a hugely wonderful opportunity. But to your point, the dealer channel and the friction that we get from the copier folks is, how do I recreate the copier sales process from yesteryear and put it online? And it fundamentally qualifies out all kinds of leads and opportunities for that dealer.
Well, I just think when you make your e-commerce site about, filling out some form, it's not e-commerce, it's a lead generation, which is like 1990 and no one even fills out the forms anymore. When you're having people print off like lease applications, we're trying to take a 1990 business model and jam it inside e-commerce. We tried to take an IT services deliverable and then jam a print deliverable in there, make it about print instead of IT. And we're doing the exact same thing with e-commerce. And e-commerce is one of those things that you can absolutely make available to all of your customers, where IT services isn't. That, you know what I'm saying? You got 1,000 customers or 15,000 customers that are buying online every single day. The time that we're doing this video, our dealer channel's customers probably just spent $1 million online.
Oh, easy. And the importance to have your customer in your digital container, your e-commerce website, where digital marketing and all your other efforts should congregate for that customer's ease of use of doing business with you. It's the dealers want to qualify those things out, like I said, by not starting at the right point, which is just owning that customer. Amazon Business owns all the customers, and they understand the importance of that. And then they sell all the things into them, and then they take it away. Amazon's every dealer's biggest competition, except if you ask 100 dealers who their biggest competition is, less than 10% of them would say Amazon. Yeah. How is that possible?
Well, because they don't get it, and they're thinking of, even in print. I would argue that Amazon sells
specifically
more print.
In print.
Yeah,
that's what I meant.
Yeah.
Specifically in print, we've seen the sales data. But I want to use a real example to define what we're talking about here. Here's the good news. Let me put my consultant hat on dangerously. I would say you have processes, on the sales and administrative side and service side for print. Put your energy into those future opportunities that look like e-commerce, selling digitally, whether it be print, IT, or other products. Let your current copier reps do their thing and double down. That requires very little attention to do so. And I use the example of our office here. There's probably at any given time, 80 to 100 employees. Just happens that it's a relatively younger office, but all different kinds of folks. There's 2 printers in the office, little small printers, and an A3. The A3 hasn't been plugged in for 4 months, right? But every office I walk by, I see a sit-stand desk. I see a display on the wall. I see microphones and digital tools. I see headsets and input devices. We can sell all these things, and we can command margin by telling them what the right thing to buy is. And so, again, I say, dealers with a digital strategy have a huge opportunity today. It's not all bad. You just have to be willing to change to what your customer expects.
Well, I think a lot of we'll put this one argument to bed here, but everybody says, well, if they buy it online, then the sales rep lost a sale, and my sales reps are going to be mad. And at the end of the day, there's not any data that substantiates any of that nonsense, which is what our industry's been notorious for. Let's talk about things and not substantiate it with any damn data. But there's no way in the world that that's a problem. That's an objection that we made in our minds, and what sales reps in their right mind wouldn't care if instead of a cold call, it's a warm call, and you don't need to run out there and tell them they bought the wrong printer as your first engagement. But I mean, is there any facts that say that sales reps are losing deals because they can buy stuff online and the dealership's going, broke because all their customers are buying stuff online?
Yeah, I mean, so I would say three things to that. So the first, from the company point of view, I don't think that the company should prioritize their sales reps' happiness and contentness over how many sales you're going to get.
Yeah, amen.
So let's just say that. Like, what are we talking about, right? Furthermore, good sales reps will utilize tools that their customers use. Think about the telephone, think about email, think about a website. Now we're talking e-commerce. No different, it's a communication tool.
Yep.
So the good reps will use those tools. And the last thing I'll say is, what does a rep look like moving forward? I do think there's a place for outbound sales reps for the complex deals. I think there's less of them. In the companies, a lot of them anyways, that we work with who are successful in e-commerce, they're inside sales reps that started at 0 or 1. Those teams have grown, right? We call them digital concierges. They have all the tools, all the products to sell. That same company, their outbound sales team has massively declined. So, I mean, yeah, if we want to look at data, if we want to look at real things inside of companies, that's what's happening. That's the reality. It's more about using the tools that your customers expect, not trying to talk your way out of an uncomfortable new process.
Well, I just don't want them to be fooled. I don't want our dealer friends to make the same mistake they made in IT. You got a handful of dealers that are successful in that space, and you got a whole bunch that listen to really bad advice based on the best salespeople in the world and their understanding of finance and all the things that they fooled them with that didn't contribute to anything to the bottom line. E-commerce is something they can sell to all their customers.
Yeah, let's define it, right? Let me jump in there because I think it's an important point. We can make the case because it's true that the dealerships are guilty of using old metrics to measure a new tool. And it's like, how is it going to, will my sales reps be happy? I care about my ERP, all of that stuff. But, what is e-commerce? There is nuance after you get that customer to be an e-commerce customer, and you can do all sorts of really cool things to drive revenue and profit. But what is e-commerce? It's when a customer can go to your site, find a product, and buy that product. If at any point that can't happen without a form being filled out, a chat application being opened so a sales rep can get involved, or anything else that stops what I just described, you do not have e-commerce. And your customers know that. And the reaction of your customer isn't to say, hey, dealer, I really wish you had e-commerce. The reaction is, Amazon's got it.
They just hit the X. Go somewhere else.
That's what we do. Yeah. That's what you do when you're buying stuff at home, isn't it?
It's what everybody does. But if we did what was logical, we wouldn't be having to have videos 2 years after a global pandemic concerned that dealers aren't getting in e-commerce. It's totally absurd. I'm going to ask you one question before we wrap up. I don't know if you can answer it or not, but when are we going to have an OEM support this in a big way to help dealers really get into e-commerce? Is it coming soon?
Yeah, I mean, I can't share anything right now. You'll see an announcement. Okay. Maybe we get together, Ray, at the beginning of June, so very soon here. I'll save the best for last here. There are a lot of other OEMs there, and I don't fault them, actually, who are using e-commerce, but very much in a direct-to-consumer way, right? They're jumping over the channel, and I do think that's the channel's unwillingness to partake in e-commerce that's driving that type of decision. That can be argued. But the reality is there's one OEM out there who has created a program, and we work with them. But why I'm so excited about it is it's the dealer and the dealer channel first. How do we get them successful with a digital marketing and sales strategy? And that means e-commerce as well. And so you'll see more info on that. It's happening. We just, as an industry, as a channel, need to see that and really invest in learning where we fit in the digital world.
Well, just don't sacrifice your strategy or your consulting services to make people feel good. Keep doing what you guys are doing. It's working. It's successful. The industry will figure it out. Hopefully they won't waste a lot of time going down the wrong path, because we've seen them do that in the past. Caleb, is there anything you want to add before we end this?
No, I think thanks for having me on. I'm happy to be number 750 for you, Ray. And,
pretty exciting.
And the shameless plug is, hey, we've got the platform, folks. We can help you with e-commerce. I think hopefully one of the takeaways of this video is we also have the expertise and experience of what works and what doesn't. And we're so happy to help people understand what that looks like and what that change may look like inside your company. Hopefully we have some more conversations here too, Ray. It's been exciting.
Great. Well, because everybody knows this, status quo is the killer of all that'll be invented. Don't get stuck in status quo, and I'll see you all tomorrow.